be familiar with the old adage, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. Well, in this case, Elon Musk had attempted to do that when it came to Twitter, but that didn't quite work out. So I guess the next step is when you can't beat 'em, try to buy 'em out. That's right, Silicon Valley tech bro Elon Musk has announced that he has made an offer to buy 100% ownership in Twitter. Instead of doing what others have done in creating their own social media platform, the wealthiest man in the world has decided, you know what, I'd rather buy Twitter than make my own. Because, of course, what are you going to do with all the billions that are burning a hole in his pocket? Look, Musk says that he will offer to pay $54.20 per share in cash. Now, you may say, oh, $50 a share. Oh, it doesn't seem like that much, right? Well, the amount of shares that you have to buy 100% of a stake in Twitter would be valued at about $43 billion. So that's a lot of money. And of course, most people don't have that money. Elon Musk, one of the very few people who has that money. So now, according to Bloomberg, the potential deal that he announced in filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission on Thursday, after turning down a potential board seat at the company. In a letter to the board, Musk wrote this: I invested in Twitter as I believe in its potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe. And I believe free speech is a societal imperative for a functioning democracy. Yes. Well, look, we agree. I agree that you should not have the government come in and arrest you for, saying things that the government generally doesn't like. That's free speech. That's literally what it is. And so, when it comes to free speech, I'm totally a believer in free speech. That said, right, he continued by saying, however, since making my investment and I realized the company will neither thrive nor serve the societal imperative in its current form, well, I might also actually agree with that too. Because it's a private company, the only way to really protect free speech with these platforms is to nationalize it and then have that run by the government that will then protect your free speech. Now, is that going to happen? No, that's not the direction that he's going to go into. Of course not. In fact, he said Twitter needs to be transformed as a private company. As a result, I am offering to buy 100% of Twitter for $54.20 per share in cash, a 54% premium over the day I began investing in Twitter and 38% premium over the day before my investment was publicly announced. My offer is the best and final offer, and if it is not accepted, I would need to reconsider my position as a shareholder. So he bought in probably what was it, $9 billion worth of stock in Twitter, and so he would then share that. Now, the final thing that he said too is that Twitter has extraordinary potential. I will unlock it. I have the key. Do you know what the key is? Shitposts. All sorts of shitposts. But seriously, I've got some thoughts on this. And so, first, number one, rich people seemed like they would rather spend billions of dollars on social media platforms than use that money to solve real problems. Do you know how much it would cost to prevent world hunger? Prevent world hunger for a year. Well, a lot less than it would be to buy Twitter. There's a couple of studies. One estimated that it would cost about $6.6 billion a year to prevent people across the world from going hungry. So now that was one suggestion levied at Elon Musk when he had talked about this. Now, the World Food Program plan would spend about $3.5 billion on food and then deliver it to those most in need. This includes the cost of shipping, storage, and transport by air, road, and river, and security escorts to safeguard food distribution in conflict-affected zones, like, Yemen. The money could provide one meal per person per day for a year keeping tens of millions of people from starvation. That's very, very basic, right? That's $6 billion. Now, a further $2 billion, I'm sorry, that's the 4 out of the 6. The further 2 could fund cash and voucher programs in places with functioning markets, allowing people to choose food they eat while supporting their local economies. Okay, that's good stuff. Now, other reports cite larger numbers, more food, and argue that in order to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goal of ending hunger by 2030, the amount of aid already given for food security and nutrition each year will need to double, and that the poorest countries will need to be able to invest more. How would they be able to do that if they were already poor countries? Well, I mean, that's an open question. But generally, they say that you would need to spend about $33 billion worldwide in order to solve hunger. Now, obviously, that involves just more than buying and handing out food. The research team, for example, studied some climate resilient crops, which will be needed as well, that can survive drought. Which is a key technology that farmers are facing increasing threats from extreme weather thanks to climate change. You also have funding for farmers to support farmers. Obviously, yes, we need farmers. I don't know if this gets talked about, but agriculture is actually incredibly important. Agriculture is kind of the root of civilization. If we didn't have agriculture, we would all essentially be hunters and gatherers. So we need agriculture, we need farmers, and so we need programs to be able to support farmers. And I'm not talking the big factory farmers, the big corporate farmers, that are making these ag gag laws. No, what we need is to also to support the small farmer. The person with 20 acres or whatever, Smaller farmers, not big corporate farmers, is what I'm trying to say. And so, yes, we need farms, we need farmers, we need to support them. We need to make sure that they have land available and also sustainable stuff to make sure that we can continue to use the land. Sustainable pesticides that don't ruin the environment, that can still control that kind of thing. And make sure that, infestations don't destroy food supplies or crops, things like that. There's a whole lot of stuff on this one. So yes, agriculture, and as some of you point out, local agriculture, very, very important. And so, community agriculture, to make sure that you sustain the community with local farmers markets, and to make good food. And by the way, yeah, that's the other effect of that is you make good food, real food, vegetables, easily accessible to people. So that's good stuff. So that's important as well. And then, of course, look, you have to deal with the fact that there's a lot of food wastage in this country as well. Just in the United States alone, we waste tons and tons of food on a massive, massive scale in this country that could have gone to people who needed it, but instead was thrown away because of capitalism, right? Because of the entire thought of, I'd rather put this food in a trash can that I didn't sell than allow someone to eat for free. So that's a real great winning attitude there, okay? And again, there's a lot of different things, a lot of different facets into making these things not only sustainable, healthy, and accessible for everyone in order to alleviate world hunger. Now, the irony is, a lot of this was already explained to Elon Musk when he had pledged to sell some of his shares in Tesla to fund stuff on world hunger, which of course didn't happen. I thought billionaires were supposed to be so kind and benevolent and godly that they would jump at the chance to do some good with that money. Well, apparently they didn't, obviously. Hunger still exists. And again, $33 billion is less than what Elon Musk was offering to buy Twitter. That amount of money, understand that it could do so much good in this world for people who are struggling. It would help so many families, so many people, solve a lot of societal ills. But instead, Elon Musk just wants to massage his ego and likely make it harder for people like Ken Klippenstein to dunk on him. Let's be honest. I think that's a big part of it. Those dunks, epic. But look, if he actually does buy Twitter, which is, again, I don't think that's actually going to happen. But if it did, two things would happen. Very likely, at least. And now we're into the realm of speculation. One, he will ban people on Twitter for making fun of him. And number two, Nazis will flood the site. Now, why do I say that? It's because, am I saying Elon Musk is a Nazi? No, of course not. No, I don't think Elon Musk is a Nazi. But here's the reason that I say that then. Every time a social media company goes, quote unquote, free speech, it serves as an invitation of some of the worst kind of people to crawl out of the woodwork. Now, when that happens, it scares off regular people. Regular people don't want to be around Nazis. And so, in order to prevent the exodus of people leaving Twitter because of the Nazi problem that they invite, the company would then have to go back and do a TOS. Now, they'd have to do a TOS against the Nazis. Now, that, of course, would defeat the whole purpose of free speech, right? Because, well, now the whole thing that brought in the Nazis, i.e. your free speech, that made everybody leave, well, now you undid that in the hopes that other people would come back to now the Nazi free site, which is now essentially empty. And so, I mean, the reason that and again, my logic goes, as an example, I look at all the right-wing sites that have failed. Okay, all these right-wing media sites that have failed to grow beyond just a very small group of people. It's because nobody wants to be in a place filled with Nazis. Nobody wants to talk to them. Why? Because they're horrible people. And so, that said, I think it's worth mentioning that Twitter is bad. Twitter is a dumpster fire. They have very unequal enforcement of policies of their TOS. You still have threats and harassment that is quite rampant, especially against women, LGBTQIA plus folks. And I only see that getting worse if Musk happens to be successful. So it just makes me ask, wait, why doesn't Elon Musk then, if he believes in this, why doesn't he make his own social media site? He could do that. It's not like he can't afford it, right? Why doesn't he just, compete in the marketplace of ideas? And to that, I don't think Elon Musk knows how to do that. It is much easier to take over something already established, to buy it, than it is to create something from scratch. That's why you have a lot of this media consolidation to begin with. Why you have a few companies, because mergers and acquisitions and all these different shareholders and people getting rich from these mergers and things like that. And so that's what you have. And so I'm sorry, but you're going to be more successful if you go that route than making something like True Social or Parler or Gab or Rumble, right? And so that's why he's not going to go in that direction, because ultimately it's going to fail, and that's going to be incredibly embarrassing. And if there's one thing I know that billionaires can't stand, it's getting embarrassed.